Okay, good. For some odd reason, my microphone wasn't hooked up right.
Alright, now I'm all untangled.
You were tangled by a bunch of cords?
Yes, I sure was.
You're the first person I can actually understand good. I've been talking to a bunch of people that are from, like, Northern Europe, and they kind of have this very strong accent, and it's a little hard to understand sometimes.
Well, I got a Canadian accent.
Which is just fine. Makes you sound more intelligent than most and more friendly. All right, should be sharing screens. Do you see share screen?
I sure do.
Okay. This is the program that I'm using. It's called Moho, so it's an animation program. So it kind of has a semi 3D aspect to it. But I use the 3D-ness for background movements. And it first starts up with... it first starts up with kind of like the picture that I first have.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll just kind of play what I got so far. So I have the subtitles here. And I have the bubble animation going in here. And that's the little puzzle box. And that's about as far as I got thus far. And this is what the face looks like when it doesn't look so demented. Without the eyes and stuff. So, basically it's rigged to be able to change. And after that, I'm going to have to drop some other assets, which will take a little while.
And change the dialogue ever so slightly. Because I did the lines in the way that it flowed well with me.
Mm-hmm.
I hope that's okay.
Yeah, basically, so you had each line separated out, which is the main reason why I kind of displayed the text the way I did. I basically entered it into another line. So you picked off that. I'm sorry, you know English. You picked off on that pretty well. And so you have each line separated so I can time it out the way I need to. So I think that'll be good. You gave me 3 variants, which I can pick and choose from which one I would kind of like best. So I think that's works. I didn't really see anything I didn't dislike, but sometimes you just have to assemble things together. And I am planning to put in music from the... I got it saved up in here. Let's see. The Legend of Spyro series.
Oh, I see.
I just need to figure out which music I think will work best for certain areas, and then kind of plug it in and see how that works. So, have you played the Legend series?
I sure have.
What did you think of it?
I really liked the flying mechanics.
On the third game, you can just jump up and fly anytime, like Spyro should have been the entire, all of his career.
Yeah.
Dragon, he's got wings, should be able to fly. I like how they did it to where you can't just. I mean, you can fly a certain height, but you can't, break the level with flying. Essentially.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they did a really good job on that. Just wish all Spyro games were that way.
Yeah. I also like the way that you just couldn't drown in water in certain levels.
I think that's always been true with Spyro games. Spyro don't drown. Kind of like how Mario doesn't drown. Well, in the original games, anyway. But yeah, I found the Legends series was actually the first one Spyro that I actually got to play it with. And later, I kind of found out a lot of people kind of didn't like it. I think some criticisms are kind of valid. For one, it's kind of like a beat 'em up type game, and sometimes it just takes forever just to put someone down.
Unless you use high-powered moves or power-ups.
Actually, I found in the Cliff games, things just got really easier because I upgraded my electric power, and I can just pick enemies up and throw them off a cliff. Boom, you're dead. Done. Usually in games, the cliff levels are the hardest levels, but in the Spyro game, the cliff levels are the easiest levels. Because you can just throw your enemies off the cliff. But, yep, that's pretty much it. This thing basically took a little while to rig up, though, because I had to make all this stuff and kind of... Here's the tool. There it is. But basically, I can use this tool to kind of move his eyes and stuff. Or his mouth. You get quite a few different expressions out of him.
So how much did that program cost?
This one? That's a funny story. Because because the way I got it is actually from a friend of mine. He got it for me. Let me look it up real quick. Moho 12. This regular one is like $70, and the pro version is the one I have, which is oh wow. Well, I'm glad my friend got it for me then. About $400. And that would have the smart wrap, which is one of the things I kind of used. and a variety of other stuff.
Hmm.
But it's a fairly easy to learn program. It's not overly complicated. It's mainly for 2D type animation, but you can put like 3D like objects into it. I'm not so sure how involved you can get it to work that way because it's primarily for 2D animations. But I'm going to use the three-dimensionals to make like the camera and the backgrounds to work. So when you move the camera, the background kind of moves in a particular 3D way, which kind of creates good depth for things.
Interesting.
Which makes it really useful for floors like that has tiles like these, because that's just a flat little plane that I just kind of put on its side. There might be like there's a 30-day free trial if you want to try one out. I don't know how much you like spending on programs though.
The most I'll ever spend on a program would be about $40.
Yeah, a lot of programs are always so outrageous a lot of times.
Hmm.
Actually, compared to the program that I use for work, that's actually much cheaper. But of course, this is not as a powerful program. The program I use for work is called AutoCAD, and that thing's like $8,000 a year. You have to continuously pay for it, like renting it.
Hmm.
That really takes a hit on businesses. It's not like they change much in AutoCAD either. So, any other type of questions?
Um, what kind of files is compatible with Moho?
I mean, what type of stuff you can put into it and what type of assets you can use?
Yeah, like importing from other programs.
Well, the stuff with the images, I use PNG. Or you can draw vector graphics using the tools here. Basically, you can go to like layer 0, and then you can use like go to a vector layer, and then you can draw stuff and fill it in things. Vector is good for it's easier to animate and rig vector stuff and get it to move well. But it's a matter if you're good at making graphics with the vector. But using PNG pictures, you can just draw it. If you're a good artist, you can draw it that way, and you can rig it to animate, which is usually what I do. You can't always make them move like you want them to, though.
So it's kind of like 2.5D. Similar to either the Quake engine or the Doom 2 engine.
Maybe. I don't have much experience with those engines, so. But it's a relatively easy program to kind of pick up and learn how to use.